I have Dr. Tara Kartha, terrorism and security expert, joining me on this broadcast. I have Abdullah Hamid Gul, chairman of the Tehreek-e-Jawan and Pakistan Party, joining me on the broadcast. And I have Hakeem Baloch, spokesperson of the Baloch National Movement, joining me on this broadcast. And Hakeem Baloch, is this a war for independence, or is this a war for prisoner exchange, POW exchange that the BLA has put out? What can you tell us, sir?
Thank you very much. Of course, first and foremost, the war in Balochistan is for the independence of Balochistan from the clutches of Pakistan's 77 years long occupation. But, during the wars, there is always a movement when, the rebellion groups, the resistance groups, they do like prisoner exchanges. We have seen in the past, and we are living in a time where, an historical prisoner exchanges happening in the region, between the Hamas and the Israeli government. So why not in the case of Balochistan, where the Pakistani army is keeping thousands of political, non-political Baloch, people in their custody, and they are being brutalized by this, Pakistani state. So the
Stay with me for a
Liberation
moment. I
Army
want to
has
bring
taken
Abdullah
this
Hamid
step
Gul into
just
this
to remind
conversation.
that.
Abdullah Hamid Gul, would Pakistan Army or government negotiate with the Baloch Liberation Army, or will it be an operation? We are told that they've surrounded the area. They're mounting an operation. Will it be a fight to the finish, sir?
Thank you very much, and Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. First of all, let me tell you that Balochistan Liberation Army has been declared as the 5th terrorist organization in the world by United Nations. So first of all, naturally, negotiations with terrorists it is not possible. And I believe that operations they have conducted, and both versions are in front of you. Well, on one side they are saying that we have released prisoners. On the other side, the Pakistan Army and Pakistan government say that we have rescued the people. Anyhow, this is something debatable. But what I have to say that operations are, they have been conducting operations in different areas, not only in Balochistan but also in KP and other places. But it is everywhere. Terrorism is a phenomena which is being dealt by, I think probably every nation is suffering from it. And yes, Pakistan is, facing some terrorist issues. And recently, according to the report, 45% in the increase of terrorism has been reported. But why? We have to understand that 96% of the terrorism was being curbed, during the days of United States of America and its allies in Afghanistan. But later on, when it went, so they left almost $8 billion worth of weapons over there. And that is the reason of the increase of terrorism where we are seeing, and especially in this particular case.
But explain this to me before I bring in Dr. Tara Kartha. Explain this to me, sir. When America left Afghanistan, Pakistan was cheering, Pakistan was celebrating, Pakistan was saying this is, if I remember the words of Imran Khan, it was celebrating shackles of slavery have been overthrown. It was some kind of an independence movement, and that Tehreek-e-Taliban Pakistan fighters from Afghan prison were brought into Pakistan. So is Pakistan suicidal that it would bring in those weapons, bring in those fighters, and now say, oh my God, I'm being killed, whether it's in KPK or in Balochistan, sir?
No, I believe that what you are saying, that the jubilation was something different, but leaving the weapons by Americans, this is completely a different scenario. We jubilated, but not for the Americans to leave the weapons over there. And then, according to the Sara, who was a counter-terrorism supporter, of course, operator of CIA, she in her broadcast claimed that we have been providing $18.5 billion worth of assistance to Afghanistan after we left Afghanistan on 1st of September 2021. So this is according to her, and nobody negated it. Nobody said that this is a false information. So I believe that yes, Americans definitely, because in Doha Accord, two of the guarantors were there.
So America is to blame for terror in Pakistan, is what you're implying. America is to blame for terror in Pakistan. Is that your implication? But I want to bring in Dr. Tara Kartha. Dr. Tara Kartha, you heard, what was said by Fazlur Rahman just weeks ago, almost prophetic words, when Fazlur Rahman said there are 6 to 7 districts in Balochistan no longer in control of the Pakistan army, something that's been said by Akhtar Mengal right now in that social media post where he says no part of Balochistan is in control of Pakistan. Where do you stand on that, ma'am? What's your appreciation?
Yeah, you're absolute. I was just going to bring that up, that Fazlur Rahman had warned this. And what did they do in return? They bumped off a couple of JUIF guys out in Balochistan. They were killed. So that is the response which Fazlur Rahman got for his statement. I just want to say one thing. BLA has been designated as a terrorist organization by the US, not by the UN.
Yes.
Why would the US do that? If it is supporting terrorism, I was very surprised that the US at that point of time did it, but then for whatever reason. Now, this is a proper professional operation. It is not, I can't see it as a terrorist organization. They've taken control of that. They've released women. They've made statements. They said prisoners of war, please release our people as well. It's a proper, it's not a random terrorist kind of like the kind which you saw in 26/11. So, and everybody knows when they say release prisoners, God knows how many prisoners there are. There are hundreds who have been picked up every day, and they pick up women, they pick up children, they pick up anybody.
Yes.
And I think at many times we've told our Pakistani interlocutors, listen, what are you doing? The more you do this, the greater the resistance is, because the Baloch are not going to be controlled by such tactics.
Let me bring in Hakim Baloch and Abdullah Hamid Gul for more on this. Hakim Baloch, what next? How long can the Baloch Liberation Army sustain this? Will this be like an indefinite siege, or are the Baloch fighters, are they prepared for a fight to the finish here? What explains splitting the 200 plus hostages at 5 different locations?
So one of the things which we need to understand is that the Baloch Liberation Army is in a very strong position. They have a huge number of militants in the organization. They have 4 or 5 different units. They were part of this attack. So I believe the Baloch Liberation Army has taken this decision after, I would say, months of planning. They knew that this is the train where 200 plus military personnel were going. They did not went on to any random, train and attacked it. They knew where they are going, how they are going, what are they going to face, and they were ready. You see, in the first attack, when they took over the train, when they took, the hostages was taken over, none of the militant was even wounded. And so far, I totally deny the statements of the Pakistani state, because as we all know, they have a history of lying, false statements, and fabricating news is part of the history of Pakistan. But the Baloch Liberation Army, in their very first statement, has made it clear, women, children, elderly, and the Baloch civilians are being released, but the military personnel will be kept. And I don't think so they're going to give away. They're very firm. They're very strong. It is on to the Pakistani state and the military how they're going to react.
And this is likely to be a long-drawn affair in your view, Abdullah Hamid Gul. There are some commentators who are saying that the Baloch Liberation Army, they're being very chivalrous. They let the women and children go. Pakistan Army would not have returned this favor with Baloch women and children, sir.
Just to mention one thing here.
I do not accept the statements of any terrorists, but I believe that what we are doing, yes, there are flaws in our policy. We need to, I think, look into that. We need to revamp our policy. The Balochistan government, probably, I do not see that they are quite successful in curbing the menace of the terrorism. On the other side, we do not have any sympathies with the terrorists. We have nothing to do with the BLR or BLA or BLF. So these are all the terrorist organizations. They are killing their own people, and there are lots of examples where they have killed their own Baloch people. So what are they? It has got nothing to do with the Baloch people. It is just the bunch of terrorists who
so
are.
Why is the Pakistan Army, in your view, why is the Pakistan Army, in your view, in such a sorry state in Balochistan and in Khyber Pakhtunkhwa right now? You know the number of military casualties. I will not list them out to you because you will contest them saying, no, they were not 1,000, they were only 600 or 700 or 800. Even that number is extremely high since the Taliban took control of Afghanistan. Where is it in your military appreciation and in your political appreciation? Where has Pakistan Army faltered in KP and in Balochistan?
Well, as far as there is a war. There, of course, it is a clandestine war which is being, which we are fighting. But at the same time, there are, what we have achieved out of it. Now you see that the support which was supposed to be given by, West at that time, it was not given to us. Then the weapons which were left in Afghanistan, naturally, this is the issue. This is what Pakistan is being claiming. And I think Pakistan's biggest success is that when Mr. Trump is saying that, yes, we need to get the weapons back. So it is, it is a victory for Pakistan. But on the other side, if we talk about Balochistan and KP, yes, there is a state of war going on. There is a terrorism going on, but we are trying to control the situation. And of course, but the KP government and the Balochistan government, I think they are failing over there. Their
this would practically mean, sir, Dr. Tara Kartha, this would practically mean more than half of Pakistan is in a state of war. That's point one. Point two, Pakistan thought that those weapons would be used against India and Kashmir. Those weapons are being used in Khyber Pakhtunkhwa and in Balochistan, and hundreds of Pakistan Army soldiers are dying every day. Is Pakistan fighting a losing war? Because I would want to ask you, Dr. Tara Kartha, when a Pakistan, Army Public School Peshawar, when the terror attack took place, one thought Pakistan would change. It would turn a new leaf. It didn't happen then. Will it happen now? Or will it be back to normal, as many describe this as collateral damage, 200, God forbid, fatalities?
Absolutely. The attack on the school was extremely unfortunate. I mean, that was a tragedy. But like you said, no lessons learned. Every day, and we are looking at the statistics, every day 5 to 6 security forces are dying. And what have you learned from that? Not to hold back on violence. The key to counter-terrorism is to win the people over. That is what we did in Kashmir. Is that what they're doing? No. So I just want to slightly give you one example, which may not seem on the same plane, but this is the fact. The Chinese port, in the Chinese port, I would say, Gwadar, has no electricity, no water, nothing. Despite the Chinese giving them salination plants, giving them electricity equipment, nothing has happened. It is a complete breakdown of governance. That is the problem. So if you want to first win over the people, first you have to start governing that place. They're not doing it. All they do is pick up and kill these people. That's not the way to do counterterrorism at all.
Okay. And Hakim Baloch, there was a report, and you tell me if it's authentic or not, that Baloch fighters say that even Chinese engineers or Chinese workers are legitimate target for them. So is this war, one, likely to intensify? Two, can the Baloch fighters take on the entire might of the Pakistan Army or the Pakistan government should it come their way? Because there are many commentators in Pakistan who are now saying there needs to be an operation all out the way Sri Lanka had against LTTE. That's the way to go after terrorists in Balochistan as the Pakistan Army perceives them to be.
But I believe this shows the Pakistani commentators have no idea of the geographic, location of Balochistan, how complex that area is. When they mention the LTT and the Sri Lanka, they forget that how they were based, where they were based, what happened in that, historical movement, what were the situations. I'm not going to go into all of that, but they are in Balochistan from the last 7 decades. There have been 5 major operations. They have killed thousands of people. They have taken 1,000 people as prisoners. Women were killed. Children was, killed. No Baloch people was left with mercy. The only thing they are going to do is to intensify the already, burning situation of Balochistan, and which will not work in their favor. Now, as we are talking today, what they have done this morning, a renowned activist, Gulzadi Baloch, who's who is a member of a victim victim family. She was abducted along with her brother this morning. So you can see this is how the Pakistani state works. It is mentality of a thug. It is mentality
Okay.
of we as we call it in Mumbai or Karachi language, a bhai, like a gunda, but they are not a responsible state or a responsible army.
Let me get Abdullah Hamid Gul to respond to that, sir. Um, does the Pakistan army only want to control Balochistan through force? Because every Baloch person we speak to, they say for us, right from 1947-48, from the times of Khan of Kalat, it's been a war for independence. That war for independence continues under Parvez Musharraf. That aerial attack, that bombing, that killed Nawab Akbar Bukti, that showed Pakistan's ugliest face of the Pakistan army. This could be as bad or worse, but they will fight for freedom.
No, anyone who is going to raise their weapons against the state, they need to be dealt according to the law of the land, and we have the law very clear about it. And the second is, if you talk about the conquering, why should we conquer when it is already with us? So I think we are not pushed about it. But at the same time, yes, terrorism is going on. But if you talk about Khan of Kalat, the Khan of Kalat was the one who embraced Pakistan, who actually said that, okay, we need to come with Pakistan. It is an official document. How can anyone deny it? The Baloch people, like if we talk about the Punjab and Baloch issue, then Mir Chakre-Azam, their greatest leader, he is buried in Punjab near Sahiwal area. So if we talk about such, I think it is just trying to, we are just not telling the truth about Balochistan.
But
Balochistan,
we are looking at the situation on ground, sir. The number of terror attacks that have taken place, as you put it, or struggle for freedom, as Hakeem Baloch would put it. Can the Baloch army take on the Pakistan army, given the strength? It's a nuclear weapon state, and the Baloch fighters, I mean, they may have the advantage of hills, but how long can guerrilla warfare continue, Mr. Hakeem Baloch?
See, it is not about the numbers. It is not about the strength of the army. We have seen the mightiest army like the United States failing in many regions where they have fought against the indigenous people. The studio where yourself is standing is a very great example of, kicking out the imperial and the colonial powers, be it the Great Britain. Unfortunate incident happened that from the India, a country carved out, which is unfortunately now occupying Balochistan. I would, gladly say that the Baloch will resist. They know that they might not win this war at this minute, but they are ready to sacrifice each and everything for their historical land. Now, one thing which I just want to correct here, as my Pakistani counterpart said there, that the Baloch leader Mir Chakre-Azam is indeed buried in Punjab. The Baloch has nothing against the Punjab historically, nor anything about the history of Punjab. The problem is the mindset of the Punjabi administration at the minute, because they believe, because they are the beneficiary.
Pardon me, but that's why they start killing people by checking their ID
I
cards.
did not.
They are targeting Punjabis.
I can't continue with this.
I fail to understand this
I
argument.
can't continue with this. Sorry.
One by one. Okay, so while both of you, just
please.
take a step back, let me get Dr. Tara Kartha into this conversation, because the situation right now does look very alarming, and it's not just one attack. There's been a major attack on a train, and people have been held hostage, but there are reports of multiple simultaneous attacks having taken place across multiple districts, including in Mastung, where we are told that weapons have been looted by Baloch fighters. And this would indicate that the Pakistan army or security forces are actually not in control on ground, madam.
Well, I didn't hear that. That's very serious if that is true. And I remember they did this, something like this. I mean, not on this scale. Last year in August, if you recall, when they literally cut Balochistan off from the mainland. So these are, they are very, they think strategically. It's not just some, like I said earlier, it's not just some random attacks. They have some very clear goals in mind. And remember, in Balochistan, the problem is the population intensity is very low. So you've got the small group of people fighting against in this massive territory, against an army which is basically been doing counter-terrorism for decades.
Okay.
Pakistan army has been doing terrorism and counter-terrorism for decades. So
Yes.
they are against a very experienced army. So hats off to them. I mean, these guys are, I mean, I have to admire the Baloch. And some of the comments by the Pakistanis, I'm sorry, this verges on comical. You know, the things that they're saying, that saying Indians are supporting. Come on, if you kill somebody, they're going to hate you. It's as
Okay.
simple as that.
Okay, no, but I don't want to bring the India angle into this right now. I want to understand what's happening on ground, Abdullah Hamid Gul, because look at what is happening. The Baluchis were initially restricted to territory that they controlled. Now their forays are deeper, even in Pashtun areas and in KPK. So when TTP, Tehreek-e-Taliban Pakistan, and BLA, Baloch Liberation Army, come together, when the Fateh Squad teams up with the latest weapons that they get through the TTP from Afghanistan, is that a nightmarish situation for the Pakistan army all along the Durand line in Khyber Pakhtunkhwa and in Balochistan? And God forbid this fire could spread to Sindh very soon.
Well, I already told you that already, we have seen in the case of Jok cantonment attack, where TTP also helped, people from Balochistan Liberation Army. But this does not mean, because terrorists, they have no land, they have no religion, they have got no sympathy for the people, like our brother was saying. But let me tell you that Baloches, this BLA people, they are checking the ID cards of the people, those who are coming from Punjab, and they are slaughtering them. So is this, they have the sympathy and love for Mir Chakir-e-Azam's grave over there in Punjab?
Okay.
And is such a huge community of Baloch people living in Punjab alone.
Yes.
But on the other side, like you have mentioned, that if they join together, already on number of occasions they were together.
Yes.
But as I said, we need to change our strategy and we shall be victorious. There is no problem. Yes, there are issues. Nobody is denying that. But we will be able to come up with the solution, inshallah ta'ala. But if the present policy of the Balochistan and KP government is going to continue, and the interior minister's policy will continue, I think we will be in trouble. But at the same time, now is the time that we will change our policy, and I'm sure of it. I know it. That
Hakeem
the policy
Baloch
will
wants to respond
in a day or two.
Hakeem Baloch wants to respond because
we will see what is going to come up with it.
Clearly, one place where I'm sure you will agree with Abdullah Hamid Gul, Hakeem Baloch, is that this is not Ek SHO ki maar, and that is where Mohsin Naqvi, Pakistan's interior minister, was way off the mark, sir.
So, firstly, I am going to respond to my Pakistani counterpart, and I hope that he will listen to me the way I was listening to him. He will have his patience. Not every Punjabi is being handpicked, their ID cards are being checked and killed. The report which we saw at the beginning of this interview, there are 3 men which are, by sound of them, by look of them, were Punjabi, clearly Punjabi, residents of Punjab. They were set free by the Baloch Liberation Army, not by any security forces. Now we come to the point where the Pakistani Interior Minister said that this is Ek SHO ki maar. You guys mentioned the opposition leader Maulana Fazlur Rahman, but even 2 days ago, the opposition leader in Balochistan parliament said the same thing, Mir Israrul Azhari, and he mentioned in Balochistan there's no writ of government, but the writ of Baloch Liberation Army's head Bashir Zeb and Balochistan Liberation Front's Dr. Allah Nazar Baloch. I want to clarify one more thing, that Pakistan Army, Pakistani state has put a stop on the political activities in Balochistan. I've never been a member of any armed organization. I was a political activist doing my politics peacefully. Ghulam Muhammad Baloch was killed. Chairman of Baloch National Movement, was a political person. Yes, we did not agree with the idea of Pakistan, but that does not give you the right to kill us.
Yep.
But there was political people, they were killed by the Pakistani state.
The last 30 seconds that I have on this part of the show, Dr. Tara Kartha, clearly if the Interior Minister of Pakistan says this is Ek SHO ki maar, when the last strike had taken place, does this show that either the Interior Minister or even the Pakistani state have absolutely no idea how to deal with this huge challenge. And when you don't know what's the threat that you're facing, clearly you don't know what the solution is.
Absolutely. You've hit the nail on the head. I mean, it is like sitting somewhere, like a colonial state, sitting somewhere and talking about this place that, "Theek hai, wo jo chal raha hai, we'll handle it." There's a sense of remoteness, and that is what the Baloch most dislike. That you don't identify us as people of Pakistan. It's the lowest, the indicators. I'm not going to repeat them here. So yeah, you're right. It is just an absolute illustration of the attitude of the Pakistani establishment.
I will, thank all our guests on this part of the show, Abdullah Hamud Gul, Hakeem Baloch, and Dr. Tara Kartha for joining me here on India Today. As always, many thanks. The situation does remain very, very precarious in Pakistan. How long will this continue? We will keep getting you latest updates. So